And it's time for our tech segment, and joining us now is our technology reporter, Paul Ndiho. Paul.
Hello, Esther. Africa might not be the first place that comes to mind when you think about animation, but it soon might be. The animation industry has the potential to be self-sustaining, and there is a growing demand for locally produced content. Joining me in studio to talk about the future of animation in Africa is Solomon Jagwe, a Ugandan-born animator and founder of Soul Studios based in the US state of Virginia. Some of his hit animated short sci-fi movies and TV series have gone viral on the internet. Solomon, welcome to Africa 54.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me about your hit series.
So Nkoza and Nankya was born out of a need for me and my wife to share our cultural heritage with our children. They were born here, but I am born in Uganda, so I wanted to pass on to them the language, Luganda, and also the stories that we used to be told by my grandmother.
And how has been the reaction so far?
It's been actually great, because it's not just helping me. I've heard from so many parents who have kids here in the diaspora struggling to teach them the Luganda language and other languages from Uganda. So it has been well received. And through the app, Nkoza and Nankya app, which is available on iOS and Android, and it's being used actively by parents.
Earlier we were talking, and you talked about the possibility of expanding this beyond Uganda. You're looking at a product that can go across the continent. Yes. How big is the animation industry on the continent?
Right now, probably South Africa and maybe Nigeria and Kenya are the top markets right now. But more and more young people are joining the movement and trying to tell stories using animation.
You strike me as some guy, sometimes when I see you, I don't know what to make of you, but I've seen some of the sci-fi movies, short movies that you've made. Yes. Maybe tell us a little bit more about that.
So I am a big science fiction fan. I've always loved comic books. I've always loved movies like Avatar. And I grew up in a village in Masaka, in Bia, deep in the village, and my grandmother used to tell me stories, these African folk tales in Uganda. So those sparked the storyteller in me, and that's why I love movies like that. Yeah.
Is there any particular reason why you chose maybe to produce a sci-fi, or these are science fiction movies?
So the science fiction movies that I've done have come out of just a desire to, I was reflecting on where the planet is right now. And what humanity will be like if, for example, we have to go from Earth and find another home outside of that. Yeah, but I wanted to put an African twist to it.
So who inspires you?
Right now, it's Tyler Perry. I'm just so proud of seeing a black man developing his own studio and actually hiring black people to tell black stories.
So that brings me back to the Nankya series. You've spent a lot of time doing this kind of stuff. What would you tell to a young person in Africa or anywhere in the world who is watching you and they want to be you?
So, one, be original. Be inspired by what you see, but try to tell your own story. Because in as much as we watch fairy tales from the West, it's very important for us as Africans to tell stories from Africa. And so take out of what you have in your mind, in your heart, and as your dream, and bring it to life either through a script or a sketch, and then try to do every single day, try to put something towards that dream.
Speaking of dreams, is there a way you can show us what is it that you've been working on, some of the things that you've been working on?
So I've created this app called The Adventures of Nkoza and Nankya, which is featuring a character called Nankya and her brother Nkoza. And they're actually inspired by my two kids, Jasmine and Solomon. And my wife, I was homeschooling my kids for about 6 years, and my wife homeschooled before me. So we're trying to find a solution to help our kids learn Luganda. And many other parents had approached us, and they were showing us that this is a desperate need. And so we came up with an app to be able to tell those stories through games, through the videos, and through the music itself. Yeah.
Interesting. So, as a content producer myself, I find sometimes it's very hard to sort of like market this type of content on the continent. So, what is it that you're doing differently to be able to get somebody to buy into what you're doing?
I think we've been blessed to live in this internet age, and we market our product through social media, through Facebook and Twitter, and we get a big percentage of the downloads from Uganda, but also from the UK, Canada, and the US as well. Yeah.
Is there a particular training that you have to do to really to be good at this kind of stuff?
I tell you, there are people who have the technical skills to do it. I had to train myself to do this. And that's one thing that I encourage the young animators out there. Don't be afraid to venture into self-training, because if you have something that is dear to your heart, you're going to find a way to create it. And that's what I did. I taught myself how to create this app.
You also said that you're trying to convert some of these into Swahili, yes, a language that is commonly spoken across Africa.
Yes. So one of the languages that we are started with is Luganda, right? Which is the most widely spoken language in Uganda right now. But most of the parents who are in the diaspora are also wanting those kids to learn Luganda. We want to be able to add Swahili and other African languages so that this content can be consumed by more than just people who speak English.
Well, Solomon, I'm happy to have had the opportunity to host you here. I look forward to maybe to hosting you another time. That was Solomon Jagwe, a Ugandan-born animator, founder of Soul Animation Studios. That wraps up our tech segment today. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, Paul. Be sure to join Paul Ndiho each Wednesday for another tech segment right here on Africa 54.